What's up guys, Fraser Wilson here. Today's video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about lean bulking. That is putting on muscle mass whilst limiting the fat stores. So guys, when you are trying to put on muscle mass, there's gonna be two ways to do it. The first approach is going to be an all-out war on food. I'm talking, you see food, you eat food. It's called the seafood diet for a reason. And then guys, there is going to be the correct way to approach it, and that is going to be the lean bulking way. Essentially guys, when we are bulking, we want to be concerned with if it's going to be fat or if it's going to be muscle. It's super duper important. Understand that it is incredibly easy to put on fat. However, building muscle is a completely different game. And this video, I'm gonna teach you exactly what you need to know to keep the fat low and put the muscle on. So I've got a ton of questions here from all of you guys about lean bulking, and I wanna get right into the nitty gritties, guys. So we're gonna dive right into the first question, which is, can ectomorphs lean bulk? And the answer to that is, guys, absolutely, because lean bulking is not subject to who you are, what kind of body type you have, how fast your metabolism is. All that does not matter. You see guys, the traditional way of bulking was just to put on as much weight as you possibly could with the complete disregard to whether that was muscle or fat. Now this led to people just getting very, very big, and not the good kind of big. I'm talking, they look like a marshmallow kind of big. So lean bulking is the different approach. It's taking into consideration a controlled calorie surplus. So you being an ectomorph doesn't really mean you can't lean bulk. It just means you might have to eat more calories than say an endomorph or a mesomorph will. The next question is pertaining to abdominals, and it is, how often should you train abs when you're lean bulking? Now me guys, I'm a big believer in training abs a significant amount even when you're bulking, because frankly guys, this is the truth, all right? Abs are not made in the kitchen. They are made in the gym, and they are revealed in the kitchen. With that being said, you're gonna need to train them in the mass building phase of your programming, because if you don't actually build the muscle when you have those calorie reserves, then you don't really have much of a chance of having a whole ton of muscle once you've cut down and lost all the fat. Now this is a great question guys, which is all about whether you can gain the same amount of muscle mass in a lean bulk as opposed to a regular all-out war on food kind of bulk. And the truth is guys, you don't have the same capacity for strength building and muscle mass building on a lean bulk as you do if you're just face fucking a whole bunch of food all day long. The reason is twofold. First of which guys, when you have just any amount of calories at your disposal, you are just going to begin to pack on a ton of strength, because how much you actually weigh is generally going to correlate to how much you can lift in the gym. As your weight goes up, you'll typically see an increase in strength. Now while that might not mean an increase in muscle mass, you will be able to work with heavier weight loads, and that will generally lead to more muscle mass. However, it's more of a sacrifice. When you are all out warring on food, sure, you can pack on a little bit more muscle mass, but when you lean bulk, when it comes time to cut, you won't really have to cut at all. And that means you won't lose any muscle mass in the process, and it'll be all a lot less of a headache for you. What is the ideal amount of weight to stack on per week during a lean bulk? That is gonna come down specifically to how long you have actually been training, but for the most part, it's going to be no more than 1 pound per week. Understand that the more and more you train, say you've been training for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the less and less you'll need to actually put on, because there's a rate of diminishing returns. So essentially after a couple years of training, you won't be able to store as much muscle mass week to week as you were able to when you first started. How do you lean bulk while being in school? This is a good question here. Now, ultimately it's gonna come down to meal prepping, but if you can't meal prep, surely you're gonna be eating some sort of food. So ultimately you want to be able to eat foods that you can track the calories of, or at the least are relatively healthy. How long should someone be in a bulk? Now this is all going to be relative to you. Ultimately, you wanna be in a bulk for as long as you possibly can. Now there's gonna come to a point where just progress isn't happening anymore, and that might be due to, insulin resistance, it might be due to adrenal fatigue, but ultimately you wanna bulk for as long and comfortably as you can, until you get to a stage where you say, you know what, I'm getting a bit fluffy, I wanna now lose the fat. How often do you do cardio per week during a bulk? During a bulk, I'm gonna do it approximately 3 to to 4 times a week. Now that is actual cardio, but on top of that, I'm going to be doing just regular walks outside because frankly guys, you want to stay active and that's not going to detract a lot from your actual workouts. What is the best type of breakfast? Now I've done a video specifically to breakfast, the best kind of bodybuilding breakfast, and I'll link that down in the description. But for those of you who want a general idea, it's gonna come down to 3 things: carbs, proteins, fats. Get those in the morning to break your fast with. If you're doing the ketogenic diet, then sure, you might want to just stick to proteins and fats, but you must get in some sort of protein. How do you train legs for mass? This is just going to come down to progressive overload and heavy compound lifts. So my favorite leg exercises for the quads and the hamstrings are going to be Romanian deadlifts in general, barbell squats, leg presses, and then your isolations, which are going to be leg curls and leg extensions. Keep it simple and then just make sure you're implementing progressive overload. I feel like when I'm eating more to bulk up and gain weight, my belly seems to be growing more rapidly. How can I control that? You got to control the calorie surplus. So if you're starting to put on too much fat, then you're not lean bulking. You need to keep it between 300 to 500 calorie surplus on a daily basis. Do you have tips to a proportionate body, especially for a hard gainer? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a hard gainer or not. All right, proportion body is going to be proportion body from one body to the next, okay? So ultimately it's gonna differ from anyone, but for a proportionate body, it has to be proportionate. So that means your shoulder to waist ratio has to be significant. Your calves can't over-dominate your legs. Your chest can't over-dominate your shoulders can't over-dominate your chest. It's just proportion. So it's gonna differ from person to person. You gotta take a step back, look at your own physique and say, what needs work, what is strong, what is weak, and then act accordingly. How do you count your calories? When I first started off, I counted it on an app called MyFitnessPal, which is right here. It is a blue app, so if you want to check that out, it's very, very simple. If you wanted a tutorial on it, you won't really need one, but I'm happy to do that for you guys. Last but not least, guys, one final tip I have for lean bulking is just to stay patient. Building muscle is going to be a long game, so you need to really fall in love with the process. The gym itself, day by day, should be an enjoyable thing, not just the results, because if you're chasing these results day by day, which while it is important, you will get caught up in the scale or in how much you're lifting, and you'll be like, you know what, I'm just gonna eat more, and as such, I'm gonna gain more muscle mass. But that just isn't the way it works, guys, because muscle is gonna take time to build, but I guarantee you, if you can dedicate yourself long enough, it will definitely happen for you, and lean bulking is a possibility. So get around it, guys. You can actually trim the fat whilst building muscle as long as you incorporate it properly. With that, guys, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy it, drop a like, and any questions you have relating to lean bulking or anything in general, comment it down below. I'd love to hear from you, and make sure you subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.
I ain't got no kids yet, but this right here's for practice. I hate to get the seats in the bins wet, but that's how good your ass is.